Welcome to episode 3 of the Morrell Speaks podcast. This is season 2, and I'm again very, very excited to be upgrading this season with audio and video. So we're bringing the greatest content in the greatest way possible. So on episode 3, I have with me one of Marion's top entrepreneurs in the history of the city, I would say. I'm a big fan. I'll tell a story about him before I give his official introduction. So I first met our guest, it's maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, and I invited him to speak at a event I would have called Young Business Owners Association, and he came out and he spoke to the people and he gave them some great information, man. And our friendship has been building ever since then. This guy is a multi-preneur. I'll let him share about all the businesses he has. But he's been very successful in our city, does great things for the community, and just an all-around awesome guy. So welcome to this episode, Mr. Trent Dailey.
Thank you.
Man, so yeah. I like to start every episode with just tell my audience about Trent Dailey. Who is Trent Dailey?
Well, I'm born and raised Grant County, so I've been here most of my life. Went to school at Marion High School, played basketball and soccer, so got into some sports. Went to Purdue University for my college education. Took a little break in there, worked a couple jobs, went out to the West Coast for a couple of years to kind of learn, grow up, mature a little bit. It's always important to do right out of high school. Spent a few years over there and decided to move back. My wife, Angel, and I have been here since I think we moved back around 2008 or 2009. I got 4 kids, Romans 15, Hadley 12, Eden 11, and Isaiah is 7. So we reside here in Grant County for most of the year. Most of our time now is spent going around at kids' events. Kids kind of drive everything right now. Got a couple different businesses that I spend some time in as well. And so my favorite hobbies, I love to ski, snow ski. Got into surfing on behind a surf boat, which is fun, and I still try to play golf, but I'm not very good. So
that's good, man. Yeah. So growing up in Marion, what was it like growing up here?
I think Marion's special. I know from an amenity standpoint, there's a lot of things that are different than down in the bigger cities, but it's always been the people. When I talk to people that know other people from Marion, it's just the people. And even my friends who live in all different types of areas, when they meet and we have, similar friends, it's just a great community. From just the families that I grew up with around, as well as, the nonprofit community is really, really strong. And I just feel like a lot of people here give, and they want to see people do well. And I think that's the cornerstone of why Marion's such a special place.
Yeah. So one thing I always like to highlight and encourage people is that it's possible to be successful and obtain success in a city like Marion. So let's transition into your business. So entrepreneurship, one of your first businesses. So why entrepreneurship? Why?
Well, I don't know how many other entrepreneurs started out and that was their plan, right? I didn't go to school for that. Yeah. Went to school for computer information technology with a minor in systems integration, and really we were focused on, it was kind of Y2K area, right? Everything was going to break, computers are, so it was like, I'm going to go into computers, everyone needs computers. And so that's really my dream. When I left college, a lot of my job offers were not in state. The job I was going to take was working for Bank of America, and that would have been in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my wife now, but fiance at the time, she's a 6th-generation farmer. Mm-hmm. So they're row crop farmers, and her dad always used to joke, hey, if you got a job in North Carolina, it's going to be a really long commute. And and so I had enough of those jokes, and an opportunity came to get into sales. And so I got into sales, and I just kind of started at the ground floor, and I didn't really know at that point in time when I started that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how my life was going to plan out. I feel like there's divine intervention and kind of God had a plan, and I kind of trusted that process. So I started out in sales back in 2007, and me and my wife lived on the farm. My father-in-law put us up as we, just started our career.
So did you actually do any farming? That's a good question. I don't know the answer. That's a good one.
Yeah. So my father-in-law let me drive the grain cart, which was fun. It's a lot of repetition. It's back and forth. The real expensive equipment, I always joke, is he would let my kids drive the combines, but I never got to drive the combines. So I didn't dump too much grain on the ground, but I definitely made a couple mistakes while I was out there. But definitely a time of my life that I look back on that I enjoyed.
Yeah. So what the transition for you from working as a salesman to owning the business? So let's walk through that. So how long did you actually work for the company?
So started in sales. I bought the company in sales in 2007, and I bought the company in 2015.
So what advice would you give someone? Let's say someone's working at a company. How could they prepare or position themselves to one day be able to acquire the company that they're working at?
It's a great question. The first thing that I focused on was just being really good at what I was supposed to do. So I had to build a book of business. I had to go out there. I had to build relationships. And so I think the first thing is be excellent at what you've been tasked to do, whether that's sales or operations. There was no hourly. I worked 8 to 5. I mean, I worked 70, 80-hour weeks, and in order to build that. Part 2 of that is building social capital and rapport with the other employees, right? Because leadership isn't, I own the company, I'm the boss. Leadership is influence of people with people that will run through a brick wall for you and you for them. So part of that was I was building rapport with the team because I was respecting the team and valuing the team, and I was working hard. I wanted to be there, the first one there, the last one to leave. So I think work ethic is a really big thing, but determination and being successful at what you've been, hired to do, and then start taking more opportunities or trying to take some more initiative of like, hey, I'm doing good here. Is there something else I can do, and so forth and so on.
So if you were to do that again, would you do it the same way?
It's funny you asked that. At 43 now, I'm not sure that I would do it all over again because it was so much work. Part of the reason that I took the risk is because of my team. Mm-hmm. We were so close, and I would do anything for them, and the company was going to be sold, and I was one of the options at the time. And so my decision came down to, am I willing to take the risk? I'm not sure I would do it any other way, because I think coming in and just buying a company without having that understanding of how it works, doing every role within the company, having that rapport with the team, there's so much risk already involved in just doing it. But if I didn't trust the people or know the people, it would make it much more difficult, I think.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about this risk, right? So, because everybody sees this Trent Dailey, right? They see all the stuff that they want to see, but they don't see the behind the scenes, whether the sleepless nights, the risk, the extra stress. So how did you build up the tough skin, the broad enough shoulders to be able to take on such high level stress and such high level risk?
I think it's a process over time that you, just like anything else in life, it's like a muscle, right? When you start lifting, you're lifting 25-pound dumbbells and you burn those out, then you can grab 30s and 45s. So for me, I had a lot of sleepless nights early on. It was a highly leveraged buyout when it happened, and so every account mattered, everything happened. And what I thought I wanted, which was to be this entrepreneur and this owner, I woke up one day and I was terrified. I was nervous. Numbers were big, and I had never experienced that. I mean, when I started at IMG, I was a $40,000 sales guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. I lived in a farmhouse, and so it was truly, I wasn't used to any of that stuff, and I didn't have a lot of business acumen at the time either, because I hadn't had a lot of exposure to it. I was lucky that the guy there before me helped set the deal up. His name was Kyle. He was a mentor, and when I found myself in the spot, I was I would probably arguably say it was probably the 3 to 6 months, toughest months of my life.
Wow. So what was it like mentally going from 40,000 a year sales guy to running the Boston multi-million-dollar company?
Well, it's funny. I continued to live like that $40,000 sales guy. So after I bought the company, it was so highly leveraged. I really didn't change my lifestyle for 4 to 5 years because I kept on paying down debt, trying to put the deal in a better spot, refinancing, and just continuing to focus on other people. So I think that's one of the things. As you grow a business, most of the time you're reinvesting in the business or reinvesting in people in the business to get you the resources that you need to be able to grow, because really growth and scalability comes around being able to attract other good people with good talents and qualities. So I never really changed my lifestyle much those first few initial years because I was just trying to get by.
Yeah. So the word you use in that last answer is scalability. So what was that experience like? So, I mean, obviously, you took the company from, I'll let you speak. When you took over, the company was at X and now you're at X. How did you know when to scale, when was appropriate time to scale? Who'd you talk with? What was that whole process?
So naturally, one of the things I've realized now is what I love to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm a builder. I just love to build companies and build things. But I've also realized that I'm really bad at maintaining. So if any of my team here was to tell you, they're like, if you need something to get over the goal line, Trent's not your guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've also learned that what I'm not good at, which is managing, people directly and just kind of maintain a company. So I've always had the mindset of wanting to build something. When it comes to, scaling, and I think there's a lot of hurdles depending on what type of business it is on how you scale. Since I bought the company in 2015 to now, we've grown 300%. That's not because I'm doing something incredible. That's just because we have really, really good people that are all supporting each other and that have a common goal and a common mission to protect and inspire our clients, communities, and coworkers one interaction at a time. And when you get enough people pulling the cart in the same direction, aligned around a common vision, I think you can overcome a lot. But to answer your question, moving from 1 or 2 or 3 employees to 60 employees, there is a lot of different hurdles in there, and there's a lot of different sacrifices. And I can go into details depending on which way you want me to go with that, but it's definitely challenging.
Yeah. One thing you keep saying is people. What, or how should I say, how do you get good people around you? How do you surround yourself with good people? How do you hire the right people? How do you seek the right, mentors to help you go? So people is the key, is what I'm hearing. So how do you find those people?
That's a great question. Yeah. If I knew how to find them, I probably wouldn't be here. But the biggest challenge for a business, once you build the engine, I'll say you get to a size where you built the engine. You have your IT, you have your ops, you have your processes and procedures. The toughest thing is talent acquisition and training, right? So there's a fundamental time in every business owner's life where you get to a point where you're like, okay, I've got enough people, maybe it's 20 or 30 doing all kind of the day-to-day operations and processes, and then you got to go out and find more people, whether that's on the sales side or that's on the leadership side. So I don't really have a science. We've switched the way we're hiring, and we do assessments, cognitive assessments, working geniuses in order to try to find the right talent. We have recruiters out going to try to find the right talent. I think at the end of the day, for me, I brought in some high-level executive leadership, and sharing in the vision, sharing in some of the ownership in order to bring them on board was super important. But it's finding that team that can align on a common goal.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll flip that question around. We talked about how to find the right people. How do you know when it's time to let people go? Yeah.
Maybe you should answer this. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
One of my things that I love is I love people, and I always see the best in people, and I want to see people be successful. Mm-hmm. Like, so someone comes in and maybe from a performance standpoint, they're not doing great. We try to find a different, spot on the bus. Our goal at IMG and really at all the companies is trying to work with people to put them in the the best place possible. We try to do enough of that up front to where we identify what those spots might be, but ultimately, if someone isn't performing in a role, we kind of have a natural process now of when it's time to let people go. But we always err on the side of caution. We let people stay around probably longer than they should. But part of that's the human element, right? It's grace. When someone has to make a decision to come join you, or they make a decision to leave, it ultimately affects them more than it affects the company.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to take that lightly, and everyone's got their own journey, and the people that come and want to be part of our journey for a period of time is great. And if that's just a stepping stone for them, that's okay. And so if you take the approach that you want what's best for that person, and realizing that sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, it makes it a little easier, but it's still tough to say goodbye.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is time and balance, right? So we talked about one business you own. Before I get into this question, let's talk about the other businesses that you own. So we talked about the IMG, the insurance company. Share with them the other ventures you have.
There's two other companies that I own that have employees, and I'll just focus on those because the other ones are just real estate and things like that. So GCA Title here in town, it's a title insurance agency that's been around since 1947, serving the Grant County community. Was started by Lloyd Finch and preceded by Harry Finch. And so they have, again, when it comes down to buying a company, I got to meet the team. They have incredible people, and they continue to. We've recruited some other good people to join that team, but we basically provide services for the real estate community, closing on houses, different things like that. And so we have about, I think we're 10 or 11 employees there. We just opened a location in Fort Wayne as we look to scale that company as well. Just recently, I worked with a couple of partners, and I'm involved in a temp labor janitorial type business that focuses on warehousing and distributions. So that has about 150 to 170 employees, and that's more of a national company where we are trying to provide solutions. We're providing solutions for warehousing and distribution from a temp labor standpoint.
So 3 companies, you got a wife, kids, you got your own, all the stuff that you want to do in your other ambitions. How, if you were to give someone advice on time balance and structure to be a high level CEO of three major companies, and also have all these other things going on, what's some advice you would give to someone?
It's a great question. I would say be careful first and foremost of chasing the shiny ball and really maximize where you're at, because sometimes I believe we get ideas to go chase different things and we get our hands in 7 different things, and then it's like I'm all over the place. Make sure you really have your infrastructure in place. The reason why I can do what I can do is because I'm going to give a shout out to Lauren. She's my executive assistant, and she's just been an incredible blessing in my life and my family's life. But also, again, it goes back to people. You know, we have incredible leaders at IMG with my brother Trent Dailey and James Harness and the team over there, which now I'm to the point where I know what I'm good at and I know what I love. And so because I've put other people in place and I've been willing to give them full autonomy to do their job and run the way that they want to run, it's allowed me to focus on doing I'm really only good at like 2 or 3 things. Yeah. So it makes it really easy for me because I don't have a lot to offer. But the 2 or 3 things, I love focusing on culture. I love focusing on growing people. I love growing businesses. And I love the financial aspect of the company. So the financials and coming up with a strategy. So I've been able to say, I'm going to do these things, which are core and important. And then after that, it's kind of just chunking time. I think we spend a lot of time on emails, and I've gotten to a point to where I don't spend a lot of time on emails. Like if you ever let your email sit for a week and come back, you probably have 1,000, and you'll find that, you know, if you would have been there, you might have responded to 300 of them, but now you only need to respond to 30 because the other ones weren't as urgent as people thought they were.
Right.
So I would say chunking time would be a good thing to start. Like check your email in the morning and then check it at night, but don't jump in and out and just try to respond and be on top of it all day. That's a big one. but also be willing to delegate and give up some responsibility, because that's really the only way you can scale.
Yeah. So how'd you get comfortable in delegating? Because again, you're the owner of these major companies, and if they go down, it's on you. So then how'd you get comfortable in trusting other people enough to say, you got that?
I think it boils down to that personal relationship with that individual. So for me, having my brother as one of those peoples and James as another, and then I have another partners in the other businesses, it comes down to trust, but it also, I was very honest with myself, and I wanted to surround myself with people that were better at things that I'm not good at. So when you can identify your qualities and what you're good at, and you can be honest with yourself, you can go find people that are better at the other things and say, listen, Todd, I know you're better at operations. You love processes. You love putting things in place and structure. I hate it. Please take it from me. Or sales, like James, you are unbelievable at relationships. You're genuine. You're authentic. You want to work with the sales team. I'm okay at that, but you're way better. So I think there's a little bit of humility in there of identifying what I'm not good at, what I don't enjoy doing, and then just finding the people that can complement your skill sets.
Man, it keeps going back to the same. You can't win without people. you got to have people, good people around you, or you literally can't win. That's what I'm hearing from that, man. That's what I found to be true as well. So if some people see Trent and they say, I want to be Trent Dailey. I want to be that. I want to be the CEO. I want to run a major company. I want to do all the things. I'll make it tough. What's one reason why they don't want this? And what would it take if they get past that, the reason why they don't want it, what would it take, do you think it takes to do what you do?
Man, that's good. It's good, Ronnie. I would say entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. There's two fundamental components. One is risk tolerance. So you have to be willing to put it all out there. You have to be willing to risk it all at one point in time or another, and probably continue to. And the other part is it comes with a stigma. There is a stigma when you're perceived, and I'm going to call this worldly successful, because I think there's a kingdom version of this, and it's not about all the money you make and what the world tells you, but when you're worldly successful, there's a stigma that if you care, that people may not like you because of that, and they may not even know you. And so some of that comes into play, and people want you to be successful up into a certain point, and then they get kind of annoyed with it. So there is a version of that where you don't, unless you have a strong stomach for that, and you know who you are and who God's called you to be, and you're willing to take risks that most people won't. Those are things that will keep you up at night, and the problems do just get bigger. And the last part of that is people are complicated. People are complicated, and they're the greatest challenge and the greatest blessing.
Yeah.
Wow. There's nothing better than seeing somebody just blossom and grow. And this happened yesterday. Can I share a quick story? Mm-hmm. We had one of our employees, we had a situation at the title company, and there was a miscommunication up at the Fort Wayne office, and someone showed up for a closing, and our closer wasn't there.
Oh, man.
And this is a big deal. This guy wasn't, and everyone's kind of freaking out. And we had one of our team members who have never closed before, but she had been kind of training and practicing. And she grabbed the folder, and she walked into that room, and she closed it.
Yeah.
And she just said, hey, this is my first time. I'm pinch hitting. And she walked in, and they didn't know any different about it. And I think about when she started and she came into the role and was at the front desk and then moved to a closing coordinator, and now she's closing. And you see that growth, and it's just that stuff gets me emotional. I love to see people grow. Ashley Rain started, she joined us. She worked the front desk at IMG. Before that, she worked at Arby's. She worked the front desk. She became account manager. 2024, she got the highest award in the state, Distinguished Customer Service Award, for the entire state of Indiana.
Wow, that's incredible.
And
Shout out Ashley.
Yeah, Ashley, she killed it. And it's just when you see people like that, and you see the impact, And I didn't have anything to do with that, but I was able to walk alongside her. I was able, by taking the risk, that she got that opportunity. And so people are the greatest reward. It's why we do what we do. And I assume you would align with that.
Yeah, I mean, people, and you said it, I tell everyone this now, people are the greatest and they can be the worst at the same time. So you have to be able to, you can't succeed without people. Like, and I mean, this is any industry. He's said this over and over again. The same thing in everything I'm involved in. People are the key to it. So you're constantly navigating this very thin line of people, right? And it's the most volatile thing in the world. You know, so trying to figure out how to navigate that and continue to move through that, and it's tough because you can't just say forget people, because everything you do will fail. So you have to have the people, but then you also, it's like, man, they keep you up at night. Yeah. And so that story is really encouraging to me, man, to show that, first of all, that you have a company that is local, where people are stepping up and have a pathway to higher success. So that's very encouraging as well. So one of the reasons why I do this podcast is to show that it's possible to succeed here in Marion, Indiana. And I mean, I want to give you the flowers for you, man. And you've obtained success right here in this city, and it should be encouraging to everyone that it's possible, because there's this notion, and I've said it every episode now, is that you have to leave to be successful. You have to go somewhere else to be successful, or Marion is somehow holding you back from success. So what advice would you give someone who's just starting out in Marion, whether they're just moving here, whether they're from here, whatever it is, they're starting out in Marion, they have their own business, and they're looking to get to another level of success, or even just try to get to that first entry level of success? What would you advise them to do?
Depending on what they're wanting to achieve, if they can get clear on their goals, I think there's a percent of the population that wants to be successful but doesn't want to put the work in. And then I think there are some limiting beliefs. We all have these limiting beliefs that keep us from achieving our goals, of why we can't be successful. A limiting belief is, I can't be successful if I live in Marion.
Yeah.
You know, so what in your life has created that limiting belief, and why do you think that's the case? And then you can give reasons of why. I would say finding a coach would be, or a mentor, someone that's been where you want to go, right? Because one of the greatest things is there's people that can take 10 or 15 years of their life and experience, and they could sum it up in a seminar, in a book, so I would find a mentor or someone that can walk you through, and then really identify what the problem is. Because some people's problem is, I don't know how to get sales, I don't know how to get clients. Someone else's problem is I have so many clients and I'm not organized, I can't book stuff, I can't. So depending on, do you want to grow or not grow, right? And if you grow, you're realizing you're going to take on more people, and that's complex. But if you do want to do that, I think the resources are there. That's one of the beautiful things about living in the time we live in. I mean, you can go online and do anything. You can watch TED Talks. Right. You can go to a Tony Robbins event online.
Yeah.
I mean, there's any type of, and so in this community, I think there is a young group of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of them around here that would be willing to pour in and encourage. And I would say find someone, get alongside, look at the industry you're in, and see what the opportunities are for the industry you're in. But again, I think the people in Grant County are some of the best, and I think it's possible.
Yeah. So that's good too, because I want to ask this: why Marion? I want to kind of dig deeper into that, because you could be in Miami, Indianapolis, Carmel, Colorado, Italy, Chicago, Nashville. You at the point you can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.
Yeah. Well,
why in the world are you? What makes you stay here? What makes you choose our city?
A couple of things. Family. I'm from here. Mm-hmm. My brothers both live down south now, but my dad is still here. This community's been great to me. I love the community. If I want to go to a Pacers game or a Colts game, I can get anywhere in an hour and a half that I want to do anything. Frankly, it's a good thing that I don't live with all those food restaurants. Not that Marion doesn't have great food options. We definitely continue to add some really good options, and I appreciate that. I really am encouraged by where we're at. I'm encouraged by you. The transparency that you've brought to just government in general has been really refreshing. Your eye for development and willingness to bring people together. That's one of, we always talk about superpowers, and your superpower is just the way you unite people. You're one of the best that I've seen, that you get people under a common goal to believe in each other, and I think we can do some really special things. So this next decade or so, there's a group of people that are coming through that really want to pour in to Grant County and Marion and really change some of the stigma around it. And you can't have that type of impact in a larger community. I could go to one of those bigger cities and be just fine and be number 72 of 72,000, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I love being here. I feel like this is where God's called me to be, and I love that I have an opportunity to make an impact and give back.
Yeah, that's good, man. What's next for Trent Dailey? What's next?
I've really been focusing on my purpose and mission. I've been talking to my wife about that a lot.
Okay.
What I'm driven by now, and we're trying to hone in on exactly where we want to start focusing more energy, effort, and resources behind a common goal that we're super passionate about. I think right now we kind of support collectively a lot of things. And so I'm really mission driven. I love the businesses I'm part of. I can't sit here and say I'm going to have 100 businesses or not. God opens doors and brings opportunities, but for now I'm enjoying the ride. I'm spending, I would say family is super important, as having almost 2 teenagers, making sure, I would say if you talk about what keeps me up most at night now, it's not business. It's like kids, you want your kids to turn out well, and the pressures of kids is a tough one. So I spend more time worrying about my kids probably than anything.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you again for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So now this is available on every major streaming platform, including YouTube now. So please like, share, and follow the Morrell Speaks podcast. Peace out.
Thanks.